Welcome to another episode of the Individuation podcast. I am Dr. Lahab Al-Samarrai. With me today is Dr. Tomlinson, and today we are diving into the Great Mother. And today we have several issues that we would like to address in terms of the Great Mother. What would those be? But before that, I'm going to let Dr. Eric say a couple of words. He always likes to mumble at the beginning, so I'm going to let him mumble before we start. Dr. Eric.
Yes.
What's going on? Mumble, my friend. Mumble.
I'd like to mumble a big mumbling welcome to everybody that's listening, and I hope we're able to pull stuff out of this.
We're able to mumble through this chapter as we go on.
That is correct, oh great one.
Come on, people. He knows I'm kidding. All right. Overcoming the unconscious. So let's start with a few words from the great, wise one, Dr. Louise Marie von Franz. Overcoming the unconscious, she says, nature like eternal bonds, and stepping out of the immortality of creation gives one the sense of one's own individual existence. But it also brings with it the awareness of one's own mortality. Since humans experience their reality as independent beings, only after separation from the mother, a kind of psychological cutting of the umbilical cord, so it seems that mortality is connected to the relationship with her, as if death were latent in the Great Mother and is received from her hand. In this respect, the snake becomes a typical symbol of the fear of death. The snake has this double aspect. On the one hand, it is the knowledge conferring being, bestowing the hero with the wisdom and the power. On the other hand, a poisoning, strangling enemy. As a symbol, the snake thus indicates the deeper unconscious, inherited, instinctual reactions evidently have this double aspect. It depends primarily on the person's insight, whether they serve good or evil. Just to start us out with some brief words from Dr. von Franz. She starts to talk about the birth and how there's a psychic birth. Like this severing of the umbilical cord, later the psychic birth happens between the mother and the child. It does not happen when the physical separation takes place. It happens later when the child realizes that there's a separation. So she says, nature like eternal bonds stepping out of immortality of creation gives one the sense of one's own individual existence, but also brings with it the awareness of one's own mortality. It's beautiful, poetic, don't you think, Dr. Eric?
I do.
Any thoughts about von Franz's words about stepping out into the world?
Well, it's per usual for her, and what I mean by that is she typically sees beyond what is the obvious that's in print, and she ties it in to unconscious motives, unconscious thoughts, unconscious feelings. I'm not saying unconscious to the point where we don't recognize, a person doesn't recognize any aspect of it happening to them, But oftentimes, more often than not, we don't recognize the meaning that goes another level deeper. And her explanations, what you just described, does that because it gets into the unconscious.
And this is what she says to further your words. Since humans experience their reality as independent beings only after the separation from the mother, a kind of psychological cutting of the umbilical cord, so it seems that mortality is connected to the relationship with her, as if death and then she compares it to the double aspect of the snake, where it gives you knowledge, it gives you courage, it gives you strength, it gives you power, it gives you health. And then the other aspect is suffocating and poisoning.
Oh, after it gives you all that and lures you in, its fangs are shown.
So the double aspect of the snake is that the double aspect of the relationship of the great mother.
Yes.
So both aspects are the aspects that make a great mother.
And the good thing is this fairy tale shows both sides.
And the fairy tales, and today, as always, we will get into a fairy tale. Dr. Eric is going to walk us through a fairy tale, and then we're going to discuss it as always. Another thing about Von Franz is that she's I think she's a poet at heart.
She's the poet of the unconscious.
She's a poet at heart, even though she's German. She's Swiss German, to be sure. The Swiss Germans don't like to be called German. They're Swiss German. Okay. So
But they're
let's
still
clarify that so we don't offend any friends.
But they're still heavily influenced by Germanic thought and culture.
Yes, but they're Swiss German. She says, if the fight with the dragon initiates the career of the hero, then this represents the separation of the hero from the paralyzing and laming mother. Not only the personal mother is meant here, but the mental source of the unconscious in general. In this sense, the snake symbolizes the maternal primal unity, the paradoxical original homeland, and also death. Fascinating.
And every main point that you made when you were talking about her is in this fairy tale.
Absolutely. Let's start with the fairy tale. As long as we're here, let's do it.
Okay. Before I read it, I have to say something.
Yeah. Go for it. Yeah.
You said a phrase that I'd never heard before. And
Yes.
when you said it, it resonated me like no other on this subject. You said to further your words. I really like that because unlike most phrases, we're saying, well, let me add something to that, or let me blah, 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 blah. And it's almost like they are diminishing what was said before. But what that did is that acknowledges that this is right, this is good, this is on the right track. Let me add something to it. To further your words. I'm going to use that.
to complement them. I think what is meant by that, I think what you're implying and what you're saying is that it's a complementary act.
Yes, it doesn't
Yes,
make
it's
the person
complementing.
feel like, oh, I had all these great ideas, but this person is saying, well, let me just add to that. In other words, you didn't get it quite right. Let me get it right for you. It can make a person feel that way,
Yes,
even if they don't mean it.
yes.
But this, I've never heard it, Lahab. I just had to point out, I love this
No,
phrase.
that's good. Well, maybe we should use it in our lexicon.
I think so. And I hope our listeners are paying attention to that too, because that's a really good thing to say, to further your words. Man, your words are good. Let me continue on with them. I loved it. Anyway,
I
this
think
is,
I think our community will appreciate it.
I think so too. I
Yeah,
think,
yeah, for sure.
yeah, I had to point it out because
No. It's a good
it
call
hit
out.
me, it hit me side the head, and I like that.
It's a good call out. I'm glad it hit you instead of something else.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Well, so am I.
Yeah.
Uh, okay, this is called Strong Hans, not Hans, Hans, Hans. It's his name. And let me begin. A farm woman suckled her boy child for 14 years. He became so strong that he could tear up oak trees, and he carried a heavy iron rod weighing 15 quote unquote ship pounds, which is 400 pounds, around as a weapon. So this guy was a behemoth. One day he went out into the world. On his way, he resolves a dispute between two ants and a worm, two snakes bickering about a bone, two wolves fighting over an old horse, and two bears quarreling over a beehive, thus gaining the gratitude of these animals. And when he goes to sleep on an earth mound, a large woman appears and says, Hansi, my little son, if I wanted to, I could make you a head shorter, but I prefer that it remains standing. And the woman lies down not far away from him. And soon after, he stands up and says, if I wanted to, I could now make you a head shorter, but I want that it stays standing on the shoulders. I'm leaving. He comes to an old hut in which a little old mother greets him with the words, Hansi, my son, you come here. Hans hires himself out to this second mother for 3 days to guard 3 white mares against one of the colts. Every day after the old woman brings him his midday meal out to the pasture, he fell asleep. When he awoke, the mares had disappeared. The first and second time his grateful animals joined together to bring the mares back, first out of the forest and then out from the earth. The third time, only the winged snakes succeed in bringing the mare down from the clouds. The witch is disappointed because she liked to kill delinquent shepherds. 2 of the foals of the mares are white. The third is black and has a spot on the forehead, and each one has an apple, his heart in his mouth. The old woman takes the apple from the 2, cuts them in half, and sets the halves together in the mouth of the black mare, in the mouth whose apple is still whole. Then the witch crumples the black colt to make it limp and hides it. Despite this trick, Hans, who has observed how the black colt became flaccid, chooses it. When he saddles and bridles it up, it becomes a great horse, which he mounts and rides to his further exploits. Later, the heroic colt becomes the man's human servant. I really enjoy this story.
Good. Tell me why.
Well, I mean, he starts off being suckled, being breastfed by his mother for 14 years. Little bit excessive, don't we think? But
he's not an ordinary child, right?
he's not. And it also can represent him having a mother that just nourishes him in every way for him to reach his full potential.
14 years is excessive.
It
by
is.
all accounts.
That's what I said.
But in the fairy tale, what they're exaggerating, the exaggeration of the 14 years is this child is no ordinary child. This child is fed from the gods or by the goddess for 14 years.
Yeah.
And therefore, not only is his strength and his ability is amazing,
Herculean.
but his empathic ability and his skills at negotiation are very impressive. That means he has a very high social and emotional IQ.
Yes.
As
Agreed.
well as physical power.
Agreed.
What do you say about that ship pounds? Weigh 15 ship pounds, which you said weighs about 400.
400 pounds.
Yeah, so that's 400 pounds. So since he was a kid, he had this ability. So go on, Dr. Eric, go on.
Yeah, and then he problem solves with the animals, a variety of different animals.
You do that all the time. You have those cats. Many times I have sat with you.
I grew up on a farm.
Conversation. I'm just surprised one of them hasn't like walked by. I know in our previous broadcasts, I've seen them walk by your face with their tail. I've seen them like switch around and walk the other path. So finish your story. Sorry about interrupting. But.
Yeah, no, understood and appreciated. He shows what you just said. He shows that not only is he a big, strong, powerful Herculean type guy, he also has a level of insight and understanding and the ability to process information from two different sources that are in opposition to one another and bring them to a common understanding.
Yes.
To the point where the people that he helps really recognizes that and respects him and kind of sees him as a hero.
Yes.
Now, he still wants more. He's just feeling his oats at this point.
Yes.
Then he meets the old woman.
Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
I just noticed.
Yes.
Did you get haircut?
I got haircut.
By a military recruiter?
No, by this.
Oh, you cut it yourself.
Yes.
Please don't. Conversation for another time, but please don't. Why? No need to do that. There are professionals actually who know how to do this.
Yeah.
No. They also use scissors, but they use it in a kind of different way. It makes it look like I didn't go to the military and they rejected me after haircut. No, not okay. Okay, well, finish your story. Finish your story.
They also charge you $25.
Finish your story, brother.
They charge you $25.
No, I take you for a haircut. I spring for it. Go ahead.
No. So he meets her, the second mother, and he wants her power. He wants a power like she's got. And she doesn't like the challenge from him. She doesn't like it and tries to trick him. But he outwits her, and by doing so, by breaking free from the controlling mother who wants to control him, and at some point,
that's the symbol of Von Franz, right?
Yeah.
the beginning, she uses the snake as a symbol for this, where this mother who gives him 14 years of nourishment, where he suckles for 14 years, and then he goes, and then he has these Herculean tasks. But the other side, this is the other
Yes.
side. This is the suffocating, poisoning side.
Yes. It is.
Yeah.
And so what I like about the story is I don't want to say overcome because that makes it sound like he's doing it through brute strength or something, but he, through his own integration and maturity level, is able to move past the controlling nature of this mother who doesn't want to give him her power, who is challenged by him and wants to consume him, because it said she wanted to eat him. She wanted to consume him. And he was able to, without being a jerk about it, he was able to mature and grow up and be his own person.
But it's interesting, right? The symbol is I am the mother, I give all this, right? She's all giving. The great mother is all giving. But at the same time, her opposite side, the other side, the bipolar side,
Yes.
is consuming. So two sides of the mother. One is to give life and give and give and give. The other side, when she is, and this is not because she's pathological. These are two sides of creation. So let's be clear, people. We're not talking about the pathology of the Great Mother. This is the existence of the Great Mother. These are two aspects of her existence. It is just the same as the color on the leaves of the trees. This is creation, it's existence, it happens. There is no ultimate giving without needing. There's a balance in the universe. Just because we call her the Great Mother doesn't mean she doesn't need anything. And I think sometimes people forget. She is the Great Mother, but she still needs, right? She needs love. She needs protection. She needs many things. She needs tolerance. She needs someone to love her back. It's easy to give. Let me say that again. It's not easy to give, but it is easy for those who like to give, to give. It's hard to feel that coming back. It's easy to feel it going in one direction. It's hard to feel it coming back in the other direction. Why? Because love is the act of the gods. And therefore, you give it. It's an act of the gods. It's not an act of humans. Humans give it, take it back, need it, different thing. The gods, it's one way. They just give it. So when we say love, when we say those who give love, it's hard because all they do is give. That does not mean they don't hurt, but that's what they do. The Great Mother will give love. That doesn't mean she doesn't hurt. That she can become spiteful, revengeful, tormentful. This is the balance of nature. This is how nature works. We might not like it. We might not accept it. It might be harmful to us. It's not okay. I'm not saying it's okay. Let's be clear. I'm not saying it's okay. I am talking about these existing forces in the universe and the way they work. We are creations of this universe. And so therefore we work the way the universe works. Not the way we want to work. I know there's a lot of people who say, well, we have free will. Yeah, of course you do. We are the puppets of creation. Do you know how you have a puppet show? Creation has a puppet show. We are the puppets. Anyway, not to get too technical. Let's go back to the fairy tale. I think I took a left turn. Go ahead, Eric.
Well,
Or you can comment on the puppet show.
I think
Do you not think for the universe we are a puppet show?
I think everything that
That's what we create. We show puppets.
Everything that has been created is a part of a puppet show. Period.
Exactly. No, but we create puppets.
Well, yeah,
the
it doesn't
universe
mean
is communicating in that way. It is showing us that this is how it.
Yeah, it doesn't mean that we don't influence the puppet master. I mean, of course we influence it.
Come on, Kermit the Frog has a lot of influence. He's a puppet.
Yeah.
But he has influence. Miss Piggy has influence. Come on. Elmo has influence.
And don't forget Bert and Ernie.
Of course, Bert and Ernie. Yes.
No, I agree. I mean, we are a part of it. And we do have enough free will that we can make decisions that slightly alter the course.
Free will meaning that this is what free will means in definition. A definition of free will means that you have a choice. Wherever you reach a question and somebody asks you a question, do you want to do this? You want to do that? You have a choice. That the universe gives you as free will. The idea that you're walking around creating your own thing, making up stuff, whatever, no. The universe has an unfolding map caused by the waves of existence. Everything we do, right? Everything that we do. So our parents do, our grandparents do, we do, influences the way the waves of creation are going to move.
Yes. And yet, after saying that, which is totally true, I totally believe in, after saying that, any choice that we make still is something that has already been chosen before in some manner.
Because we are creations pawns. So think about it this way. You're sitting there across from a chessboard and you decide that you're going to sacrifice a pawn. And that pawn is very important to you because you've been using it to strike fear in the other person's side. Now you're willing to sacrifice it. So you can move ahead with your attack, with your ability to overcome the other side. This is a drama, it's unfolding.
Mm-hmm.
It's a two-sided battle. So what we know about the universe is there's two sides to creation. So there's a positive side to creation and there's a negative side to creation. And that's why we have what we call evil. There's a side to creation that is destructive and detrimental. And there is another side to creation. Now, the trick is that creation is unconscious. It needs us so we could reflect consciousness to it. It is unconscious. Creation is God. It's unconscious. It's not conscious of itself. We have to reflect to it consciousness. When we hurt, we have to scream out so it could hear us. It's like, oh, that's wrong. It doesn't know. It doesn't know because we're extensions of it. The reason that we have been created is to be able to reflect back to it that consciousness, that awareness, that it exists. Look at these fools. They think they function by themselves. They think they do things. They think they have power. They think they create, they build and do stuff. You know, that's creation. Creation is like, I don't know what do they think they are? You know, it's an echo. It's a wave of time. It's like you're staring at yourself in the mirror and it's staring back at you. And there's an echo in the mirror. That's creation. It's powerful. It's disturbing. It's destabilizing. Shakes you up. But that's creation. It's nuanced. It's kind of, it feels sometimes, Dr. Eric, it feels to me like it's toying with us. Like, because I always get close and I'm like, oh, you know, I think and I lost my thought.
To me, it's our belief about it, our mistaken beliefs about it that ultimately caused what you just said. Because it is what it is. It's pure energy. Creation is pure energy.
Yes.
And we are nothing more
unconscious of the power that drives that energy.
Of course, because it is what it is. It does it does
today,
it by nature.
But today you made me question that. Today you told me a story that made me question it. You said today, there are 3 galaxies colliding with us.
2
galaxies that were colliding with us.
Right now.
Well,
Small and large Magellanic clouds.
Creation must be doing something, right? It's creating something new.
It is.
Yes. So maybe it's more aware of what it needs to do than it thinks it does. Maybe it's building a larger mirror.
It is building something. It's creating a galaxy that's going to be bigger.
Yes. So I think what it's building is a larger mirror. It wants to see itself.
And then in a number of billions of years, our nearest galaxy is going to collide with us.
It wants to see itself like the little baby who stands in front of mirror and puts hand on mirror, not sure what to do with it. You know, the baby, she puts her hand on the mirror. She keeps her hand on the mirror. Creation, building mirror.
And it'll be something new.
Yeah. She wants to see. She wants to see it. She wants to see it because creation is always building things to see.
But in that creating a newness, something destructive is going to happen.
No, absolutely 100%. Well, you think about it. Think about that's, you know, this perfect segue. Think about our little babies. They're completely destructive. They're a nightmare. They're destructive. Yeah. If you left matches, a blowtorch, the baby would burn the house down. No problem. Burn the house down. I mean, find a way to burn the entire house down. They're complete. So I think, you know, it's growth. So the universe must age. You know, like Q. So Q is, I know it's not part of the younger generation, but they're going to introduce him back into the Star Trek generation. He's into the new series, season 2 of Picard. Really good series. It's about Picard after, like, he retires and kind of finds that the universe is out of control and he needs to be work it out, the captain. Anyway, so Q is part of a continuum of eternal beings that live through. Of course, they are guided. There are rules in the continuum. There are things you cannot do. Not that you can't take away planets and put away planets, but there's a formula that you can't mess with. There's certain things you're not allowed to do. Anyway, he's going to come back. But I'm thinking about Q, and I think about creation. And I think of creation as Q. And I think of creation as Q as a baby. So baby Q is learning. And they can't just zap things out of existence just because they don't like them. That certain people have rights, and that once you created something, you can't just destroy it. It's like having a baby. You can't just kill your child. Well, I had you. I'm going to end you. No, that doesn't work that way. I know it's happened,
but like a child, he does it without any thought, because he's very egocentric. He's a
because
baby.
he's unconscious, right?
Yeah,
this is what we call complete unconsciousness. Go on.
And as a result of that, he makes these decisions that are destructive without any consideration of the outcome or the results.
Correct. There's no toll on anybody. It's like what the corporations are doing to the environment. No harm, no foul. It's all about demand. You guys want it, we make it for you. That's right. You didn't tell us there was bad things that were going to happen. Well, we're telling you.
They get what they want out of it. That's all that matters.
Yeah, but they've destroyed the planet. And creation will not let it stand. She just won't. It's not like her. You underestimate her. Her patience, her love, her tolerance, her ability to tolerate your infidelity, your burning and pillaging and throwing bottles and plastic in the oceans and garbage. Tolerance for Mother Nature also runs out. She's a nasty mistress. I just hope we don't have to see that side of her. I know when we have in Florida, when we have seen it in New Orleans, when we have seen it in tsunamis, when we have seen it, we've seen it in tropical storms. We've seen it in Haiti. It's like hit over and over again in earthquakes. We have seen these hurricanes like tear out these islands that are manicured like little thumbnails. And maybe because they've been manicured like thumbnails, they got wiped off the planet because they don't exist in that way. But maybe we've done something. Maybe we've dumped too much garbage. Maybe we pretended that the planet was big enough to be the entire garbage disposal. It's not a garbage disposal. Maybe we thought nobody would care. Maybe we thought nobody would mind. Maybe we thought it will go away. But now we are at a point in time where our children's children will not have a planet to live in. They will be forced to be indoors. They will need oxygen masks. They will need protective gear to go out in the environment because it will be poisonous. We already see this. We already see this. We already spend 10, 12 days, 15 days, 20 days, 30 days of the year filled with smoke in the Northwest. Burning forests. The forests keep burning. Nobody says, why do the forests keep burning? Oh, global warming. What the fuck does that mean? The forests are burning every single year. Forests keep burning. Those are our lungs. That's like
600,000 acres in California.
yeah,
That's just the last fire.
we're just talking about a year. We're talking about destruction at a level.
But you know what, Dr. Lahab, we view it like it's a Walmart. Our planet is like a Walmart. We go and buy groceries.
And
We
it
go
will
and
end
get-
up like Walmart.
We go and get medicine. We go what? And you know what? They're always going to replace it. They'll always have more to sell. We can always go back and get some more.
It will always, and it will end up like Walmart. It will burn down to the core because you see what Walmart does. What Walmart does, it leaves ashes. It destroys communities. Here's what Walmart does. Let me explain it to you. Just a small like economic lesson. Imagine somebody with massive amounts of wealth and the ability to bring in anything it wants and sell it at any price. Imagine you have a 12 by 16 store and you sell cans of beans and other things, and you have to price them at a certain price to, thank you, yes, can I help?
I'm sorry, yes, I'm going to the village for a meeting. Do you want me to bring you food home?
We will talk later. Thank you for inviting me. Yes. Anyway, she said she's bringing food home, not from Walmart, for sure. Anyway, so what Walmart does is basically it drives them out of business. It's not complicated. It just drives them out of business. It could sell the can for 10 cents. You have to sell it for $1.25 to survive. People in the community are poor. They're going to pay 10 cents because it's helpful to them not to buy the $1.25. That drives everybody else out of business. And therefore, Walmart then can just keep charging whatever price they want. They could like raise it to $1.50. You will end up paying $1.50 because there are no other stores there. So you went from paying for $1.25 to $1.50, thinking that's going to cost you 10 cents. Always the case. Doesn't matter what it is. It's always the case. Sorry, Dr. Eric.
Yeah, and out of I don't know what it is anymore. I haven't checked in recent years, but I think there's what 500, 600, 700 billionaires in the planet, and the one company I think that has the most, it's either 4 or 5 of those billionaires are Walmart owners. Not just one, not just the owner of Walmart, but
Family
3 or 4
members.
other people.
Well, there's a lot of family members. It's still owned by the same company. There's a ton of them who own it. The problem is that their practices are destructive to everybody else.
Yeah.
It's just like a massive, not to go after them personally. I mean, they're assholes. They treat their employees like crap. So there's no need to everybody knows this is not a secret. They don't keep it a secret. It's not like they stand over there and say, oh no, I never did that, or deny it. No, they actually revel in it. No, they take it as a sign of courage. They call it capitalism at its best, and they pound their chest. So yeah, so here's the problem of good and evil. Here's always the problem. If there is no balance in the universe, those who are evil will infect it in a way and will keep infecting it. I just want to remind everybody to think of Alan Greenspan, our former Fed. The head of the Fed said at a hearing, and I hope I quote him as accurate as possible. He said, "Who knew? We thought they could regulate themselves. Why would you do something that would hurt you? We didn't think they would hurt themselves." So what he's saying is he's saying that people whose ultimate task is to make money should have not been regulated. And because they didn't regulate them, they crashed the economy.
Yes, they did.
And he didn't think they would do it because it didn't serve them. So basically, his thinking was of the little child in the candy store,
Mm-hmm.
that he would stop eating because he was going to get sick.
Yeah.
Not that he would continue eating even after getting sick, because he was addicted to the high. I mean, they gouged the entire country. The entire country like went through like a filter, and trillions of dollars disappeared. And you know, Dr. Eric, the biggest heist in the history of the world has no culprit.
That's
It
right.
has nobody involved. It has nobody indicted. It has no conspirators. It has nobody who created a gang. It was a magic trick.
They got 10 to 30 million dollar bonuses when their companies went bankrupt.
Those were the people who were in land, in country. We're talking about the people who were on island estates, who trillions of dollars went to all kinds of, if anybody wants to read more about how money disappears, please go to the Panama Papers. It's a group of journalists who did an amazing thing. This has everybody who has money in this world, how they hide it, where they hide it, how they move it, how they pretend not to have it, just in case. If you're paying like a 40% tax rate, it's because of them. Well, somebody has to pay. The Canadians pay 40%. We pay about 36, 37%. The Canadians get healthcare. We have something called Obamacare. It's not quite what the Canadians get. The Canadians get full coverage. Maybe one day we'll get that. But they also get like subsidized schools and stuff like that. But still, why do they have to pay so much? You would ask yourself, why would an entire nation have to pay so much? Oh, it's because of all the services they provide. No. Absolutely fucking not. No. It's
Really
not
not.
because of the services you provide. So if we did some math today, which I am not going to put you through, but if we did some math today, like each individual, how many individuals would pay how much percentage of what they earn to make what they need to make, how that would either raise a country or destroy a country. Remember, always, that the first thing they say when they want to take you for the ride, get in the car. It'll be fun. I'll take you home on time. That ride, that fucked up ride. When they say, I have to raise your taxes, because you need stuff. Or better yet, I have to cut their taxes because they contribute to the economy.
Yeah.
Like we don't contribute to the economy. We just take.
Yeah. But they produce all these jobs. If you
Yeah,
cut
yeah.
their taxes.
They're job creators.
Yeah.
Let's get the terminology correct. They're job creators. They're free thinkers. They're free marketeers, which makes them sound like they're swashbuckling, buccaneers. Fucking swashbuckling buccaneers are pirates. And everything you think about a pirate, that's what they were. They were pirates. And they were hunted in their day. And so basically, we live in a society where pirates have made so much money that they basically make the rules. Even when they're making films about pirates, they make you nostalgic for the pirate take.
Yeah.
Even when they shoot them in the end, it's like, oh, you love it. If you didn't have me, you would have nothing to hate. It's because you've been robbed and they're showing you how they robbed you. And then they're making films to tell you that they robbed you. And then they write stories to say, hey, by the way, we robbed you. And by the way, we're enjoying it. So we've robbed you. We've destroyed your planet. And now we're gonna take away your oxygen. Because eventually you're gonna have to have bottled oxygen flying, being delivered to your household. So, because you can't breathe the air outside. We spent 5 days reading air warnings. We shouldn't have air warnings. We shouldn't. We live in the Northwest. We shouldn't. We don't have smelting plants. We don't have this huge industrial, but you know what we've done? We kept cutting the trees. We kept chopping them down. Now we're trying to conserve, but we have water. We have moderate temperatures. We are the filter of oxygen in this world. Not anymore. So if it's bad out here, it's bad everywhere. So again, we come to this planet and everybody's treating it like it's like this is our last party. And the things that we have to do aren't very complicated. They're not difficult. They're not hard. We just need to change patterns. We have created patterns that are destructive. We need to change those patterns. And yes, at first, they're not going to pay the same amount, but they will save the entire planet.
And we the people wind up having, in general, I'm not accusing any one person in particular, but in general, we the people, after being created by the Great Mother, wind up having the bipolar personality that she does.
Yeah.
I mean, we incorporate a lot of it ourselves.
Yeah.
Part of us is very kind and caring, and the other part is very self-centered and destructive.
I think the young child activist said, she said, the house is on fire. Your house is on fire. You're debating whether you want to put it out. She's correct. The house is on fire. And everybody else is talking about what they can do and what they can't do. What they can't do is leave it on fire. We don't have, I like the time estimates, Eric, before. They used to say, oh, 70 years, 50 years, 60 years. It doesn't look like that to me. It looks like the next 3, 4, 5, 10. It looks a lot closer. And it keeps inching closer every year. I've seen it out here since I moved in 2014. So it's been about 7 years. I've seen fire after fire after fire after, like, smoke, and it's gotten worse in 7 years, very quickly, I might say. And I'm sure from the weather reports it's gotten worse. You know, the fires are getting worse. The fires, like it used to be in the good old days. Listen to the good old days. In the good old days, what used to happen would be the fires would go until the rain starts. The rain would stop them. Oh, now, no. So that would be like September. Now they rage into November. We've never had them rage into November. You've never had like that.
Destruction of the great mother.
Yes,
It
absolutely.
continues.
Yes. So,
and it will fight back. She will fight back.
And she does. She does. Well,
Yeah.
What is her fight back is, I can survive, you can't.
Right.
Her fight back is very simple. It's like, okay, so you cut off oxygen, I could live without it. Can you? So, without Lisa, we stray and get dark. With Lisa, she helps stop this slide into darkness. So today we would like to salute Lisa. And we'd like her back as soon as possible, so she could carry on the beacon of light in this this darkened duo that has brought upon it these stories. But with this story, I am very happy to say that I hope everybody enjoyed it. It's a really rich story.
And it's one that we've all seen in some family or another.
And it's played out over and over again. So with that, I would like to tell everybody that we will be back next week. And as always, we want to leave you with, I am not afraid.
And I am not afraid either.
We are not afraid. And we will be back next week with you at the IFC's Individuation podcast. I'm Dr. Lahab Al-Samarrai, and with me, as always, Dr. Eric Tomlinson, and we wait for the return of Dr. Lisa Hong.